Production. Let's get it.
Hello, beautiful people. It's me, Dr. Butler, your favorite exercise scientist, and welcome back to the space where we talk all things women's health, strength, and thriving through every season of life. Now, most women have heard of perimenopause. Most women have heard of menopause. But what almost never gets talked about is the stage that comes after, post-menopause. And listen, if you already survived the hot flashes, the mood swings, the night sweats, the hormonal plot twist of perimenopause and menopause, if you've earned the t-shirt, the badge, maybe even the battle scars, this episode is absolutely for you. Because postmenopause is its own chapter. A new landscape, a new stage where your body has different needs, different vulnerabilities, and different opportunities to thrive. This is the time when we start paying closer attention to things like bone health, heart health, generary changes. Not from a place of fear, but one of empowerment and preparation. Today, we're breaking down what postmenopause really means, what's happening inside your body, and how you can stay strong, vibrant, and confident in this next season of life. So let's get into it. Postmenopause is the stage that begins after you've gone 12 consecutive months without a menstrual period, and it lasts for the rest of your life. At this point, the ovaries have permanently stopped releasing eggs, and estrogen levels remain consistently low. So now our bodies are getting accustomed to our new hormonal baseline, which comes with a plethora of physiological changes and new experiences. Now, in postmenopause, we may still experience hot flashes or night sweats. They can actually last for a few years. Vaginal dryness or pain with sex, low libido, sleep disturbances, mood changes, weight changes, dry skin, hair thinning, urinary urgency or leakage. But lower estrogen levels put us at a higher risk of osteoporosis, cardiovascular diseases, and generary syndrome of menopause. Osteoporosis is what happens when our bone loses density. The internal structure starts to thin and the risk of fractures go up. This shift becomes more dramatic during the first 5 to 10 years after menopause. Osteoporosis becomes a major concern in postmenopause because this is the stage where estrogen levels stay permanently low. And estrogen isn't just a reproductive hormone. It's one of the most important protectors of our bones. When estrogen drops and stays low, the entire bone remodeling system shifts. Bones become weaker, more porous, and more vulnerable to fractures, especially in the spine, hips, and wrists. See, estrogen helps regulate osteoclasts and osteoblasts. Osteoclasts are the cells that break down old bones. Osteoblasts are the cells that build new bones. So before menopause, estrogen keeps these two in harmony. But after menopause, osteoclast works overtime, breaking down bones faster than they can be rebuilt. This leads to rapid bone loss in the first 5 to 7 years, and it continues with a gradual loss throughout postmenopause. This is why osteoporosis risk skyrockets after menopause. It's not just aging alone, it's the hormonal shift. The scary part of osteoporosis is that it typically has no symptoms until a fracture occurs. Most women don't even know they have it until they break a bone, lose some height, or develop a spinal curvature. Then fractures can occur from everyday movement like bending or coughing. Postmenopause women often experience sarcopenia, which is muscle loss, alongside bone loss. This is alarming because when muscle mass drops, our stability drops with it. which means we're at a higher risk of fall and less of the mechanical loading our bones need to stay strong. And without that stimulus, bone loss speeds up even more. The gold standard for diagnosing osteoporosis is a DEXA scan of the spine and hips. About 20% of women over the age of 50 and about 30% of women over the age of 65 meets the DEXA scan criteria for osteoporosis. Sadly, studies show that about 50% of postmenopausal women will experience a fragility fracture in their lifetime. Cardiovascular disease becomes one of the biggest health concerns for women in postmenopause. Not because we suddenly get unhealthy, but because estrogen, one of the body's most powerful protectants, is no longer in the driver's seat. This shift changes everything from cholesterol patterns to blood vessel flexibility, or to how our body even stores fat. And when we women understand why this is happening, we can stop blaming ourselves and start making informed, empowered choices. Estrogen isn't just a reproductive hormone, it's a cardiovascular guardian because the heart feels it first. Our cholesterol levels become imbalanced, blood vessels stiffen, inflammation increases, and insulin resistance worsens. This combination accelerates the development of osteoporosis, the root cause of most heart attacks and strokes. Osteoporosis is a long-standing, slow-moving inflammation process that affects the arteries. Over time, fatty plaque rich in cholesterol builds up within the inner walls of the medium and large arteries, gradually altering their structure and function. As these plaques grow, they narrow the vessels and limit blood flow to vital organs. And when the plaque becomes unstable or blocks the artery altogether, that's when we see major cardiovascular events, such as heart attacks, strokes, and other life-threatening complications. As the arteries become stiffer and narrower, it raises our blood pressure. Then we start experiencing headaches, dizziness, palpitations. And then to add a little razzle to our dazzle, our visceral fats increases, sometimes without any weight gain. We begin to store more fat in our midsection around our organs and our liver. This causes insulin resistance, inflammation, higher blood pressure, and higher triglycerides. This cluster is known as metabolic syndrome, and it dramatically increases cardiovascular risk. To learn more about metabolic syndrome, check out my previous video that I made about it. Lastly, heart failure with preserved ejection fraction becomes more common, especially during postmenopause. Research shows that heart failure with preserved ejection fraction represents more than 50% of all heart failure cases, and it occurs disproportionately in postmenopausal women. Estrogen deficiency is the major driver of this shift, as it removes the cardioprotective signaling pathways that helps maintain healthy cardiac structure and function. The rise in heart failure with preserved ejection fraction during postmenopause isn't random. It's a result of several shifts happening at the same time. When estrogen steps out of the picture, the heart and the blood vessels begin to remodel. The vascular system ages faster, and metabolic conditions like hypertension, insulin resistance, and visceral fat begins to become more common. And these changes work together to accelerate the development of heart failure with preserved ejection fraction in postmenopausal women. Genitourinary syndrome of menopause is one of the most under-discussed, yet most impactful change in a woman's experience during postmenopause. And it's not just dryness. It's a collection of changes that happens because estrogen has stepped out of the picture, and the tissues of the vulva, vagina, bladder, and urethra all depends on estrogen to stay healthy, elastic, and well lubricated. When estrogen stays low in postmenopause, these tissues begin to thin, dry, and lose their natural resilience. That's what creates the symptoms women often feel but rarely talk about. Estrogen normally keeps the vagina and the urinary tissues thick, elastic, well lubricated, rich in blood flow, and balanced in pH. When estrogen declines, we lose all of this. As a result, we can experience dryness, burning, itching, micro tears with intercourse, pain during penetration, and bleeding after sex. Then, because the bladder and the urethra relies on estrogen, these tissues weaken and become more sensitive. We may notice an increase in urinary urgency, increase in frequency, burning with urination, stress incontinence, which is leaking with coughing, laughing, or lifting, or recurring UTIs. This is why so many women start suddenly having UTIs in their 50s and their 60s. The protective vaginal microbiome shifts and the urethra becomes more vulnerable. Next is our pelvic floor changes. If you missed my episode about pelvic health, I urge you to watch it after this episode. Estrogen helps maintain the strength and the integrity of the pelvic floor. During postmenopause, many women may experience pelvic heaviness, mild prolapse symptoms, difficulty emptying the bladder, and increased pressure during exercise. Strength training and pelvic floor work becomes even more important right now. Lastly, we begin to experience sexual health concerns, not necessarily a loss of desire, but discomfort. Many women think that their libido is gone, but the real issue is there's pain we're dealing with, dryness, fear of discomfort, loss of confidence. When sex becomes painful, the desire is going to naturally decrease. Addressing genitourinary syndrome of menopause often restores comfort and desire. So now that we have a little more insight into postmenopause phase, when I talk to seasoned women about menopause stages, I often hear, "Oh, I'm past all that." But the thing is, now you're in a whole new phase, and it's called postmenopause. And it comes with all new concerns and risks that I just shared. But the real question I would like to help with is, how can you support your body through this phase, which is going to last the rest of your lifespan? Evidence-based strategies include strength training and weight-bearing exercises to protect bone and metabolic health, adequate protein and nutrient-dense eating, so get that diet right, calcium and vitamin D, we need those, vaginal moisturizer or lubricants for dryness. That's our deep dive into life after menopause. I hope this episode reminded you of one of the most powerful truths. Postmenopause is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of a new chapter where your body deserves more understanding, more support, more intentional care than ever before. You're not past it, you're in it. And this phase is going to last the rest of your life. But here's the good news. You're not powerless in this process. When you understand what's happening inside your body, from your bone to your heart to your pelvic health, you can make choices that keep you strong, confident, and thriving for decades. Keep lifting, keep nourishing your body, keep asking questions, keep advocating for yourself. And most importantly, keep showing up for your health with the same strength and resilience that carried you through every season before this one. Thank you for spending time with me. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another woman who needs to hear it. Like and comment on this video. And as always, stay strong, stay informed, stay in your power. And I will see you in the next episode.